Mate webinar, PostalMate for Newbies. My name is Karen Grant, and I'll be your instructor today, and I'm very happy to have you all on board. We have quite a large group today for a newbie webinar. Newbie webinars are designed for those who are new to PostalMate, either by buying an existing store or starting a store from scratch, either one. Even those that are considering buying a store or opening a store might be on board here. So that's great. They are limited to those people. We only send the invitations out to recent owners or people looking. And that way we don't get flooded with questions that are more advanced that we're not going to deal with today. Just so you know, we typically have about 20 webinars a year. We repeat the new owner webinar almost every month. We do skip 1 or 2 months. We skip December always, and then we may skip on one other month depending on what happens, sometimes a summer month. But otherwise, you can count on this, and you're welcome to watch it again and again as often as you like until you get sick of me, which probably won't take long. And then we do hot topic webinars. And what I mean by hot topic, those are instructional webinars. Now, all webinars last about an hour long. And so don't get upset. If you need to know something short, we have lots of short videos, like 30-second long and 2-minute long. Those are great. But hot topic webinars are talking about some of the deeper instructional items that you need, either industry facing or PostalMate facing, or a combination of that. So for example, we might have this spring, I'm looking to do a webinar on certified mail, the regulations with that, and how you apply it in PostalMate. Cubic rate pricing, which is a great offer by the Indicia, but you need to know how to use it so that you don't lose your shirt. So those kinds of things we do a lot, and I tend to focus on 2 main things: rules you need to know and things to make you money. Those are my big focus. So hope you look forward to those in the future. Getting started here, just so you know, your supported hardware. Many of you are purchasing a store that has hardware already, but it might be kind of old. And so over time, you do need to replace hardware. Now, I will tell you that, like, for example, scales tend to work for a lot of years before they break. You can plan on a scale for 10 years. Only replacing it, which is good because they're kind of expensive. You must use a scale that's supported with PostalMate. Remember, you're in a business that weighing things is part of the price. So you cannot use just any scale you want to. You cannot go to Staples and pick up a little scale and use that for any purpose in your store, for mailing or shipping. And otherwise your state weights and measures department will come and they'll give you a really obnoxious fine. Your scale must be legal for trade, and that's what makes them kind of expensive. So, but your master computer, for example, should be replaced every 3 to 5 years. Your auxiliary stations as well. Your printers have a lifespan on average of about 6 to 7 years. So, and when I'm talking printers, I'm talking like your label printer and your receipt printer. Your report printer can be any report printer you choose. So Brother, Epson, HW, any of them, HP, any of them. But and that's fine. You get to choose that, and those should run fine. And those, you can hook it up to your copier too if you have a big large copier you use. That's fine. But do keep up on the hardware. We're not insistent that you have the latest and greatest every year. We don't want you going out and spending $3,000 every year. But you should be in the habit of replacing at least one good big piece of equipment every single year, preferably in December, because let's face it, that's when you make your money and that's when you need things to work the best. So I would always do it like I would put it on a credit card at the beginning of the month in December, get it all set up for my busy season, and then pay it off in January when all the money has come in. So those are the kinds of things we want. We need you running on Windows 10. Windows 8's okay also, but Windows 10, no Windows 7. PostalMate won't work the greatest on Windows 7. We don't support Windows 7, and Microsoft does not support Windows 7. So please make sure that you are updated. Please don't take an older computer that was a Windows 7 and just update it to Windows 10. That older computer, all the resources of it will be spent just trying to run Windows 10, and there won't be much left over to run PostalMate or other programs you need. Training opportunities. So here's how you get trained, and we offer the most training opportunities of any place in this industry. And we have the webinars, of course, that you'll have the opportunity to hear. And by the way, when we do our hot topic webinars, when you sign up for that webinar, you also get a link so that you can watch it later. So let's say you get busy in the middle of it and can't watch it because it's in the middle of your workday. I get that. So we'll send you a link so you can watch it later. That's not true with the new owner webinars. We always have a new owners webinar, a version of it that I've done before, posted on our website that you can watch. So you can get the same general information that I go through here. So that's always available to you. We have over 100 tech notes. Our tech notes are really good. People don't like reading things. Well, newsflash, our tech notes are almost all pictures. There's very few words with lots of pictures to show you how to set up different features in your PostalMate. We have over 70 videos. Those videos really, I think there's short one, it might be 15 seconds up to about 5 or 6 minutes long, averaging about 2.5 minutes each. And they will show you how to set up or use certain features in PostalMate. And then we have recorded webinars that we've watched before or we've done before that we do post on our website. We try to keep between 12 and 20 posted, and it will vary in between there somewhere, but they need to be current, still current. So you can watch those from our website. And then we do some live trainings. We do regional workshops throughout the country, and we go to a couple of industry events. So we will go to, there's a couple of franchises that have conventions that we go to. And then there is, so you would only be able to go to that if you're a part of that franchise, but there is the RS Expo, and they hold that usually every 18 months. And we attend that and do have quite a bit of live training at that event. Having said that, with COVID, as you know, everything has been put on hold with travel. We also typically do 5, and it varies, 4 to 8 regional training events where we'll go to major cities throughout the country and do a weekend training. So it's usually a half day Saturday and all day Sunday because those are usually the times you're closed. And we bring on our whole training crew. There's 3 of us that come in and train. And they're fabulous. They're high energy, not boring at all, learn lots. You get to mingle and mix with 20 or 30 or 40 other store owners. We keep them relatively small. On the small side, maybe 20, 25 people come into some areas, and then we get in big ones. Sometimes we get 60, 70, 80 that will come. So usually in the 40, 50 range. And it's really nice to meet somebody else from your state that has a store and talk to them about the things that are particular to your area. And we do those, we've done those for years. Because of COVID, those are put off. We're hoping late in 21 that we might be able to start picking that up. But believe me, even if we don't get to do it until 2022, if we come to your area or anywhere within range of you, within driving range of you, you're going to want to come. We have people, store veterans that are really successful stores. They never miss it. If one comes within driving distance of them, they are there every time. We see this, sometimes we see store owners that we've seen every event. We've been in that area for 20 years. So we really encourage you to do that and to increase your knowledge, because you can't increase your dollars until you increase your knowledge. Communications, when you're talking to PostalMate, make sure that we have all the correct communications. When you signed up, maybe you didn't have your formal business email address, or maybe you used your cell phone. Make sure we have the correct ones. We will always try calling your store first. If you want us to call your cell phone, we will. But it is a habit by all of the support technicians to call the store first. So sometimes even if you tell us to call your cell, we'll end up calling your store because it's a habit. Make sure this bottom line on this page is really important. If a carrier has an outage, and they do, we will email you about that outage. Now, let me explain that. I don't want you to, if you're new, I don't want you to freak out that the carriers have outages all the time, but the carriers have outages occasionally. They all do. And for example, yesterday, FedEx had an outage. Now, we went back in the records and found that the last time FedEx had an outage was almost a year ago, April. So they don't have them a lot, but they do have them. And it was down yesterday for about an hour, I think. I want to say last April when it was down, it was a couple hours. Sometimes, now, having said that, between April and now, there have been some blip, and I'm just picking on FedEx for a minute, some blip outages, meaning they're down for 5 minutes, or they're down for 10 minutes, or 7 minutes, or 2 minutes. Those kinds of things do happen. That could be an internet blip where their servers are for FedEx. Those happen, and we don't send emails out on those. But if we see it's going to be longer than, say 15 minutes, we'll send an email out to let you know. So we need your email address, and you need to watch that. We also put up on our phone, so when you call in, you'll get a recording that says, thank you for calling. We're aware that FedEx has a server outage. And, if you'd still need to leave a message about something else, please go ahead and do so. Here's the problem. Yesterday when that happened, we had so many stores calling in that it broke our phones. So nobody got the message for a while. So email is always the best way. And if you have a question about that, email us, because we can respond to an email really fast. We can't respond to a voicemail really fast. So just some hints here. A few more, because I want you to get the best support possible. And there's some tricks to getting the best support. And I'm going to tell you the key things here. Make sure that if you call or email us, that you give us your name. This is Joe Smith. I don't sound like Joe Smith. Oh, Joe Smith. Your store phone number, so that we can look it up in the records if we can't hear the rest of your message, because you'd be amazed at how garbled some of them get. Your store serial number, which is found under help and about. And then tell us the issue you're having, because we prioritize based on your issue, not on first come first serve. So if you don't give us an issue, you go to the bottom of the list and you don't get called till everybody who has given us an issue is called first. And it could be hours. I don't want you waiting that long if you've got something critical. Now, if you just need to learn, what report does what, or how to do something, maybe it can wait. But if you're down, we want to know you're down. If you can't print FedEx, we want to know you can't print FedEx. By the way, I picked on FedEx, and I shouldn't have only picked on FedEx. All the carriers have some outages, and I'll tell you the one that's most common, so you don't freak out when it happens to you, is Indicia. Indicia goes down on a fairly, I hate to say it, regular basis, but monthly we have an outage. Indicia has an outage, so I just don't want you to freak out if it happens. It comes up usually within the same day. You're usually able to get your packages out. Oops. So I don't want you to panic totally, and emailing us saying, is Indicia down, is a whole lot better than calling us trying to get through to us because you think it's just you. It's not just you. You can still call us if you want, but email us first. Okay, so let's go to PostalMate. That's what you came here for. We're going to go take care of some business here. So we're going to look at our PostalMate screen over here. And you see I have this big, beautiful screen and this little tiny PostalMate in the middle. It's not that little and tiny, but the fact is it's smaller than it needs to be. In PostalMate, you can change that. And I want to start off by saying every single day you should launch PostalMate Fresh. So over here on the icons, you're going to double click on that and open up PostalMate Fresh. And in fact, if I were to give you a recommendation about rebooting, I would say reboot your computers at least 2 or 3 times a week, preferably every day. That helps your Windows to run better. When Windows runs better, PostalMate will run better. When you process a package through PostalMate, depending on what your setup is, it could have to touch the internet up to 13 times before you get the label. So everything running smoothly is really important. So we're going to take a look at this, and we open PostalMate Fresh, and then we click on the POS button or the POS button over here, either one. And that's for CashMate, which is our cash register function, and it opens up CashMate. And you can see I have CashMate and I have PostalMate, and I get to each one back and forth by clicking on this ship button here. Okay, it's still launching. Give it a moment. There we go. And then the POS button here. And this is how I move back and forth. It wants to know if I'd like to open the cash day or the cash for the day. And I'm going to say yes. If this pop-up did not appear, you can just go up to File and Open Register Day. And it's going to ask you how much money you're going to start your day with. Now, many of us start with the same equal amount every day, but many of us don't, and that's okay too. There's no right or wrong way. You can enter that amount here. If you have somebody different opening your store than closed your store the night before, you probably want the person opening your store to count the drawer before they confess to how much money is in it. So if they want to do that, there's a nice counter here, and they can just enter all the details here, and it will do the math for them. Or if they just want to count it and enter it, that's fine. I'm just going to leave it at $100 for simplicity today. So now we're ready to ship. But like I said, I have a really small screen here and I want to make it larger. So I'm going to go up to Tools PostalMate settings. Over on the left, station settings. And I want you to notice right here, it says size of transaction screens. And this is going to allow you to change the size of PostMate and CashMate without affecting your Windows settings. So it's just going to affect PostMate and CashMate. And what PostMate does is it takes a look at your graphics card in the computer, and it will give you a number of choices based on the size of your graphics card. So you might have 2 choices, 3 choices, or in my case, I have 5 choices. I'm going to recommend you go to the very, very largest and try that. And if you don't like it, then you can always scale down. But it will relaunch PostalMate in a larger size here. Give it a moment. It left CashMate alone for the moment. And now it's going to open up PostalMate. I'm sorry, my computer's a little slow this morning. And oh my goodness, is that better? I can see all the buttons. And if you have a touch screen, which we support, this makes it easier to touch all the buttons. Now, remember, CashMate's really tiny over here. See how tiny it is? All we have to do is X out of it, reopen it, relaunch it, and it will match the size of the PostalMate screen now. So much better. Okay. So getting started with that, we've opened the register day, and now we're going to ship a package. And I want you to know that your PostalMate has everything in it that my PostalMate has. If you see something on my screen, you can have it on your screen. There's only one thing that my PostalMate does that yours doesn't, and that is it will show a label, and I'll show you what that means in a moment. But all the features over here, you may not have set up yet, but they are available. So we have ship mail. And this is where you're going to ship a package and get a full label. Drop off. We all know that you're going to get a lot of drop offs. Most stores get about 3 drop offs for every 1 package they ship, maybe even 5 drop offs for every 1 package they ship. Quick postage, where you can just print a postage stamp with a Dymo printer. If you offer freight in your store, this is a freight entry program. If you do a lot of packing in your store and you want to set up ProPack, which is an estimator, that's, for example, you put a vase on the scale and enter the dimensions, and PostalMate will tell you you need this box with this number of peanuts, and you can add bubble wrap and all that stuff. You can double box it. It will do all that. That's kind of an advanced feature we're not going to get into today. And if you're just starting out, I'm going to recommend you wait about 6 months before you get into that. Summertime's a really good time of year to get into, unless you're a summer vacation destination. That's a really good time of year to start getting into the more advanced features. Quote is where you're going to just give a written quote or estimate to your customer. Receive hold is for when you're receiving packages. This is most common for your mailbox customers, or if you happen to be signed up with FedEx as a FedEx Hold It location, you would do those processes in this area. And then other activities is where we have a lot of miscellaneous things. And we'll come back to this shortly, but this is where you're going to void a shipment, where you can find a package that you previously shipped, where you're going to do a carrier pickup and tell PostalMate that your carrier is picking up and we need to change the dates because now my next pickup is tomorrow, not today. You can reprint the last package label. And if you have an employees, you can use the time clock and they can clock in and clock out each day here. So again, we'll go back to ship mail and we're just going to go through and do a package real quick. So PostalMate's going to have pop-up screens like this, and these are called prompt screens. And the prompt screens that I have are the order and the ones that we would recommend typically you to use in your store. If you're buying an existing store, the previous store owner probably has it set up how he or she liked it. You may want to change that. Sometimes the previous store owner was very knowledgeable and sometimes they were not. So you'll have to make that judgment call on what you want to do. But remember, it's your store and you can run it how you want. We recommend this process. First, you're going to enter who the customer is, and that's that's the person that's standing in front of you. PostalMate keeps all of this information in your database. We don't have access to it. It's on your computer. It's stored with your stuff. We'll never see it. Okay. So this is your data. So I'm just going to, if you enter here a last name, it will look it up. And if you want to add a new customer, you just click add and you can add a new customer. Now I'm going to pick a previous customer here and click next. And then I enter the zip code to where the package is going. Now, there's this really cool feature down here in the lower left that you may or may not have seen. It's called Show Only Records for this customer. And when I click that, then I'm only going to show locations that Ivy has shipped to before. Well, apparently she's been entered and hasn't shipped before. So I'll uncheck that. It's just kind of fun. So we're going to send to this zip code, and I'm going to add it. Sorry. Should have rebooted my computer today. It's been a few days. Sorry. There we go. And let's go to, send it to me. So this is called address autocomplete, and this is a feature you can turn on where it will help find the address for you, just kind of like Google does when you do it using Google Maps. When you click the one without the zip for, then if there's a suite or apartment, it'll give you the options to select that suite or apartment. So then it wants to know, is this the correct address? And yes, it is. Now, something you need to know, an address is never complete without a phone number. So make sure that you put in the phone number here. It doesn't matter if you smashed it all together or use dashes. And if you want to get your customer or your ship to's email address, then you can send delivery notifications or ship to notifications. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes you don't know whether it's a business or a residence. You can always click on Google Maps right here to get a picture of it. Now, this doesn't work great for all international locations. Some international locations it does, but for domestic locations, it works great. You can see clearly here that this is a business location. There's no doubt that's nobody's mansion. All right, so we're good with that. Yeah, oops. Okay, so we're gonna go, sorry about that. I got ahead of myself and double clicked. All right, so entering the weight. This is the one screen you might not want to have on, and that's fine. If your scale is connected to your computer as it normally should be, then you don't need to have this pop up. I don't have a scale connected, so I'm going to have this prompt here. If ever your connection between your scale and your computer goes awry, maybe the cord gets eaten by a mouse, things happen, you can disconnect it from your computer and you can just read the weight off the scale and enter it manually in PostalMate. So a scale is not dead just because the communication between the scale and the computer goes awry. All right, so we'll say it's, actually, I'm going to say it's 1 pound for this one because I'm going to show you something. This is the packing if you want to use that Pro Pack, that more advanced feature. In this case, we're just going to keep going. This screen is the most important screen in PostalMate. This is where you tell PostalMate about the packaging, and that's so important because the carrier So let me know when you can hear me. Testing, testing. Okay. All right, thank you. I don't know what happened, but I remember I said something with the internet or something here, so I'm guessing that's what it was. I am so sorry. So I'm just going to repeat the last few moments and then we'll go on. So again, generic packaging is for anything that was brought in by your customer or something that you sold your customer, a box, brown box, white box, Amazon box, diaper box, whatever box. Carrier branded packaging is this fancy packaging given to you by the carriers for free that you must use their special services, like usually air services or flat rate services for, and you have special pricing. And in that case, you would select carrier branded and then the type of packaging. But we're going to use generic packaging for now. Now it wants to know the outer dimensions of the box. And you might be thinking, oh, easy peasy. I can look at the bottom of the box because it has the size on it, right? 12 by 12 by 12. Wrong answer. So here's the weird thing that 12 by 12 by 12 is the measurements of the inside of the box because the box company thinks you need to know how big it is inside so what you put in will fit. In fact, the carriers, of course, use the outside dimensions, and you're thinking, well, that can't be that much difference. Oh, but it can. It can be a big difference. I'm going to show you what I mean right by that. Let's say it is a 20 by 20 by 20. Okay, get in there. Okay. I'm going to come back to the screen in just a minute, but let's declared value. We'll come back to that too. I want to show you real quickly here. FedEx ground on this is 4174. But in fact, it's actually 20 and a half by 20 and a half by 20 and a half, right? Because of those walls of the box are a quarter inch at least on each side. It might even be bigger than that. You could have what's called bulging, but I'm just going to go 20.5 by 20.5 by 20.5. Oops, 5.8. There we go. Now, remember, see this 4174? Watch it change, and I'm going to click this OK. Look at $4 difference just because of that ½ inch. So it really makes a difference. And if it's on the cusp of where a surcharge might apply, it could be $100 difference. So you need to be very, very careful about entering dimensions. So let me go back a few screens to this screen. I'm going to recommend to you that you typically round up. That's what we tend to do in this industry because the shape of the box can actually change during transportation. If you have a 20 by 20 by 20, but it's a lightweight box and not very full, if somebody comes and smacks a 50-pound box on top of that, when it gets there, it's going to be a 24 by 24 by 7 because it's going to be a pancake. And that will change, that can change the price of the box. So you need to be very careful about, first of all, packing well, but second of all, that the box can change shape. Additionally, I live in Arizona. We're known for our dry, arid, warm heat. If you live in Florida, your boxes, or Washington State, your boxes are heavier than my boxes are because they include the humidity. It may not be much, but even if it takes it just a pound more. So it's kind of weird how things change based on that. So please bear all of that in mind. So enter the dimensions. If this was a 12 cube, I would probably be comfortable entering 13, 13, 13. Now, if you want to be exact and enter 12.5, 12.5, 12.5, you can do that. PostalMate knows the rules of when to round up and when to round down for pricing. And then we have the two more features down here that are very important. The first one is article not in standard container. The carriers, except for post office, charge you an additional fee when the item that you're shipping is not packed in a standard box or bag. They determine what is not standard, but I can give you some ideas. They don't have a nice list that's convenient for you, unfortunately. So the rule is if it's not in a standard box or bag, but bucket, and remember, things don't have to be in a box to be shipped or a bag. They can be shipped alone, like a suitcase, a tire, a rubber pail, wooden crate, metal toolbox, Rubbermaid container, bucket, pail. All those things can be shipped outside of a box. But then you get some other boxes, weird boxes, like a guitar box or something that's odd shaped. And those kinds of things are not standard containers. And when you have an item not in a standard container, you need to check mark this because there's a special fee that will apply with UPS, FedEx, and I'm not sure about DHL, maybe on DHL. And you want to apply that. And PostalMate can't see it, so it doesn't know whether it's in a regular box or it's in a plastic container. So please do that. The other two things that will really get you here is a number 7 padded envelope, which you probably sell in your store. I'm going to recommend that when you sell out of number 7 padded envelopes, don't ever reorder them again. Let number 6 padded envelope be the largest you carry. The other one is a round tube. If you sell round tubes in your store, stop. Just send them mail only. And then next time you order, make sure that you either get rectangular or triangle shaped tubes. Otherwise, those additional handling fees apply every single time. This padded envelope or soft pack is only for cubic rate pricing. That's a service offered by the post office through Indicia. This is only going to appear on your screen if you have certain rate groups, certain rate group or price group with Indicia. Most of you will have that group, so it should appear on your screen. But this was only used for cubic rate. It has no, if you check mark it, it will not affect anything with UPS, FedEx, or DHL, only with cubic rate for post office. We do have webinars. We have a recorded webinar on our website about cubic rate, and I will be doing another one this spring. All right, next, enter the declared value. This is kind of like being at McDonald's and them saying, would you like fries with that? It's where you get to sell extra service with an extra markup. Now, most stores, all stores offer declared value coverage. Some stores offer it by the carrier, and some stores have an alternate insurance provider that they get it at a lower cost. With that lower cost come conditions. So there are special rules with those. The rules are more strict with an alternate insurer. So what am I talking about? Well, as you're starting out, you can get declared value coverage through the carrier, and that's fine. But it's kind of expensive. And you can go to an alternate carrier, and we support 3 of them: Indicia Parcel Insurance, Shipsurance, and RS Package Insurance, and have that alternate insurance carrier cover the additional value on a package. So for example, if you're sending a UPS package and it's valued at $300, well, you know that you get $100 of coverage included in the price, so that over 100, so $101 to $300 would be covered by that alternate carrier. You would pay a lesser price than you would if you had purchased it through the carrier. And you can mark it up handsomely and make a significant profit. That's why I say this has become kind of like the would you like fries with that, where you can make extra profit. Now, if you ask your customer, would you like to insure that package, or would you like declared value coverage on that package? Your customer is going to say no. Because what they hear is, would you like to spend more money on this? They already don't want to spend money on this. So let me give you some advice. If you say things like, how much is this package worth? You're more likely just to get an honest answer here and not offend them or make them think too much that they're actually spending more money. So just a thought. And then the next, and we get back to our rate comparison screen. We had a quick glance at this earlier. My rate comparison screen and your rate comparison screen may look differently. So I'm going to show you a couple of features. First of all, this is in ProShip, meaning all the information is on the left-hand side that we previously entered, and the rates are on the right-hand side. There is another look. It's called WizardShip, and it looks like this. I prefer ProShip because there are times where you need to change things on the fly, and it's just easier to do on this page. But there is not a right or wrong. You are not doing it wrong if you prefer the other look. It's completely up to you. When you see up here the tabs, I have Best Services, FedEx, UPS, DHL. Your tabs will be named something different. You can name yours, you can customize yours as I have mine, or in any way you want. We even have some stores that say next day, second day, 3-day, later day. I mean, so you can do it however you want to do it. Then you can also customize which carrier services appear on which tab. So for example, you might notice that the least expensive item I'm showing on this screen happens to be FedEx Ground. but I don't have UPS showing on this. Well, I can have UPS on this screen if I want. I just don't have it showing up. I also don't have media mail showing up. If I go over here to US mail, there's media mail. Now, the reason I don't have media mail showing up over here is because look at the price of the media mail. If my customer glanced at my screen and saw $4.82 or $20.53, which one are they going to try to get me to do? Of course, I don't want to disappoint my customer and tell them they can't have the $4.82 one and they're going to have to pay 4 times that amount of money to ship their package. That makes no sense to them, even though their item is clothing, clearly not eligible for media mail. So, and your customer will try to get you to skirt the rules so they can save money. So don't let them do that. So you can customize this. I would on the main screen put the services you want to sell. Then you can customize the other tabs to be only a carrier or a combination of carriers and services as you would like. So for example, I'll go over to the UPS tab and we'll do a UPS today. I'm on the test servers, by the way, and so you might see this verify with carrier, and that's because I'm on test servers. You will actually have a time in transit located here, just like these other services. And that's why I'm going to go over here to UPS Ground. Now, let me tell you something about time in transit. During COVID-19 coronavirus issues, times in transit are not guaranteed by any of the carriers. All service failure refunds are completely suspended. You can even say something that's supposed to get there at 10:30 tomorrow morning. If it doesn't get there at 10:30 tomorrow morning, the carrier is like, that's too bad. There's no recompense compensation for the missed delivery. And it doesn't matter if they miss it by 2 hours or if they miss it by 3 days. It still doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they misdirected it to Zimbabwe and then to New York. It's still not going to. You're still not going to get a refund. And there is no time where that is going to end. So it is indefinite. I believe that once things get back to normal, service failure refunds will come into play. But you should have that on your disclaimer, on your receipt, that carriers during COVID-19, the carriers have suspended all service guarantees. That way, when you have on the receipt that it should get there by the end of the day on Thursday, your customer isn't demanding a refund on Friday because they didn't get it there. So once we make a selection here, we can see some other features that will appear. And in the upper section, you can see that the dim weight of this package is 14 pounds, even though it only weighs 1 pound. What does that mean? It's telling us that because the size of the box, that the dimensional weight, which is the size of the box, is going to dictate the price of this box. So if we had a small box on the scale, let's say 4 by 4 by 4, the dimensional weight would not appear because the actual weight and dimensional weight are similar. It's going to apply either the actual weight or the dimensional weight, whichever is greater. The bigger the box and lighter the box, the more the dimensional weight will apply. Let me give you a real scare here. We'll go back to that 20 by 20 by 20 with only 1 pound. And by the way, that's almost not possible. It would have to be an empty box. And I still think a 20 cube box actually weighs more than a pound. But let's just pretend here. You can see that now it's rated at 49 pounds. In essence, what this is saying is it's so big, it takes up enough room that we're going to count it as 49 pounds. PostalMate does the math for you in accordance with the rules of the carrier. So it knows that UPS, when I click on UPS, it knows 49 pounds. Now I'm going to give you one more example so that you can see the difference on this. We're going to go to an 11 cube. Okay, with UPS, that's rated at 9 pounds. FedEx, and this is no coincidence, has the same rule. It's rated at 9 pounds. Let's go to post office. Priority mail, it's not there. Because with priority mail, the rule is different and PostalMate knows. So, if you suddenly don't see that up there, don't panic. PostalMate knows the rule. Okay, so we're going to go back to UPS. I'm going to again select on this feature right here, this service right here. And I want to also show you some numbers up in the upper right corner. There's an A and a C and a D number. There's also an ID 7 up here. That's for our development team. Don't worry about that. But the A, C, and D number are kind of important for you. And those are things that you can turn on or turn off on your PostalMate. So if they're not there, they're just simply not turned on, and our support team would be happy to help you put them on. They help you with things in this package. So what it tells you for this particular package, A is your cost. So you can look up here and know that it's $12.07 is your cost, and that should match your bill usually within two pennies. We're trying to be very accurate. The C number is the published rate before any discount. It's going to be very close to what the customer would pay if they went online at ups.com or went to a UPS store. The D number is the dollar profit. It's how much you're making on this package. So you can see if we changed it over here, you'd make $17.60. Go back here, you only make $4.96. That's a really nice feature when you're looking at a couple of different services that might be close in price to the customer. You can quickly dance between the two and see which one has a bigger profit for you and try to steer your customer that direction. It can be very helpful. So this should get there on Thursday by the end of the day. We've already talked about guarantees. We've highlighted this one, and now we click the next button. This pop-up will appear. It should appear. If you're buying an existing store, your store may have turned this off, but it is a rule by both FedEx and UPS that you have to look at the ID for everybody who is shipping a package. And that's because of some of the bad actors that have shipped naughty things through these carriers that have exploded or caused damage when they've arrived. So you have to check the ID of the sender. And then any other options that you want to appear, you can click on here. Those are called add-ons. And then we get to the final screen, which is kind of going to give you a summary. And then you can enter the contents here. If you want to give a discount, you can do so right over here. Let's say $2. And there it appears right in here. Now, this discount is only a dollar discount. When I click it again, it goes away. If you want to do a % discount, you can do that, but it's going to be over in the POS CashMate. So we're going to go ahead and finish this. I told you that my PostalMate has one feature that your PostalMate does not, and this is it. It's going to give you a sample of the label here, and yours won't. Yours will actually just print it out. So this is for teaching purposes only. So this is the label that will print out, and then you have choices of having some other labels pop up, such as and print, such as a ship info label. Most people don't, because those labels that you get, those 4x6 labels, the carriers will give them to you for free, but they don't like giving you very many of them. So they're kind of hard to get, and they're very expensive if you have to buy them. So most stores try not to use too many of those or too many extras of those. Just a heads up on that. Now, before we go to CashMate, we're going to do one more thing for this customer. This customer also has, actually two more things, has a drop-off. So we're going to enter a drop-off right here, and we're going to enter a tracking number, and I'm going to make one up. So please forgive me, I don't have one handy. So there's one I made up, and click OK. Now, normally, PostalMate would recognize which carrier this was and auto-select it. But since you clearly saw me make it up, PostalMate had no idea. And so you can choose it, you can override it and tell it, yes, that really is a FedEx. You can even offer additional services on it if you want, but then you can record their drop-off. The last thing we're going to do on this page is do a quick postage, which is where you can print a stamp for your customer. You need a Dymo printer and you need your Indicia account. And so that's where you have an envelope. Maybe it's 2 ounces. So it's from a mom, and she's sending some photos of her grandkids to grandma, or to her kids to grandma. There we go. And it weighs 2 ounces. It is a letter, and you need to determine if it's a postcard letter or flat. And there are specific guidelines to tell you which is which. A flat, when we say a flat in PostalMate, it's a flat envelope. So first class flat is always a flat envelope. It can be no more thick than 3/4 of an inch thick. The guidelines are right here, and you're going to have to memorize these. So get used to that. So we can send that. We can even do a certified return receipt. Oops. But before we do, I would highly recommend you watch the webinar that we have that's recorded about certified mail. And again, we will be doing a new one of those this spring. So once we decide our weight and everything, get this entered, we just click the record button and it will print out a stamp just like that. So I don't have a printer hooked up, so it didn't print it for me, but that's how it would work for you. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's see. There we go. And now our customer is ready to almost finish. And so we click on the POS button. Now I could go over here to my bottom bar and go to CashMate, but that only gets me to CashMate. That does not transfer the information over to CashMate. We have to have CashMate open all the time. If you close CashMate and try to transfer information over, what's it going to transfer over to? There's no CashMate open. So that kind of adds an extra step in it for you, and it has to get put in hold recall. So what we want you to do is always keep CashMate open. And then when you're ready to transfer the information over, just click on the POS button and you will watch it transfer over to the virtual receipt on CashMate. And here it is. So I actually have two of those first class mails. They both recorded. That's fine. But maybe one is a mistake. So I need to take one off. So I'll highlight it and then I'll void that item. There we go, all voided. Now this customer has some other things they need to do. He needs 20 copies, 20 black and white copies. So I'm going to do, and you can use your keyboard, but I'm going to use my mouse on the screen so that you can visualize it. So 20 at, and that would be the asterisk button on your keyboard, and then find your copies. So there's your 20 copies. Plus they want to buy a 12 cube box. If you've entered your packing materials in as we suggest, it's just so easy to ring up that 12 cube box. You just click on enter SKU and go 12, 12, 12, enter. And there it is. Ta-da. Now, let's say your customer said, oh, no, I need 5 of those. I'm packing up a bunch of books. No problem. So we will go 5 at SKU 12, 12, 12, enter. And there they are. And then they say, okay, but I only need 5. And now there's 6 on because you had that other one from earlier. Oh, okay. Again, we can highlight that one and void that one. Now our receipt is growing here. And if you ever want to scroll up, you can just use the scroll bar and scroll up and down. But once it gets to a point where you do need to use the scroll bar, there's this faint little circle with an arrow in it. And if you click it, then you get a whole page and you can easily see everything. And when you click it again, it goes back to the way it was. Just something nice to look at. Now you can offer discounts, as I said earlier, in CashMate. Let's offer discounts on the 12 cube. And so I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to say, I'm going to give a 10% discount. So 10, and I'm going to go over to my discounts tab because I have all mine grouped together, and I'm going to go % discount. And there's the discount. Ta-da. So you can set up your discounts. You can also do quantity discounts. And this actually did have a quantity discount also. So let's say a 12 cube is $5.95. If you buy 5 or more, then they're $4.95. If you buy 10 or more, then they're $4.50. So you can set that up in your product information when you're entering the details of that 12 cube box. Once we get all finished, then we're going to click on the total button and decide how the customer wants to pay. You can use a credit card system that is integrated with PostalMate. It's a little easier as far as the receipts go and everything, or you can use a setup that's outside of PostalMate. We do not have a preference. Whichever you want to do is fine. Sometimes the one that works within PostalMate is easier for you, but sometimes you get such a great deal using maybe your local bank or credit union or whatever it is, that you want to use that system, and that's going to be a separate, that's fine, whatever you want to do. So probably 9 out of 10 of your sales are going to be credit card. So once you get to this screen, you can click on whatever it is, Visa, run the card, make sure it's approved, and then click Finish. Now you get an option of printing the receipt, and that's going to print on your Citizen receipt printer, or emailing the receipt. And then you can email it right here. And by the way, when you email the receipt, they usually have it before they leave your store, certainly before they get in their car. It's that quick. You can email and print it. And then you have the additional option of printing to an invoice. This would be a paid invoice. This has nothing to do with accounts. This is a paid invoice. The reason, and that prints on your report printer, your 8.5 by 11. The reason that's an option is if you do business with your local school district or your local city or town, often they cannot submit small little paper receipts like come out of your Citizen for reimbursement. They have to submit full invoice, paid invoices. So, and that's because their bookkeepers don't like keeping track of all the little tiny receipts. So we give you the option of printing it out here. So your choice. And when you do that, I'm going to actually print both of these and so that you can see. So this is kind of what the receipt printer looks like. It actually looks prettier than this. And if your receipt printer supports it, your logo can be on this. So it really looks sharp. And then if you wanted to print to that 8.5 by 11, that would come up and it would look like this. And I'm going to enlarge this so you can see. And by the way, your logo can be up here in the upper right if you want on this. You can add that feature. So I'm going to kind of increase this, make it obnoxious here so you can see the details on that. So that's kind of a nice look-see. It gives you the discount and everything. Now, PostalMate has many, many more features than what we've talked about. It has a mailbox manager. It has credit accounts, invoice accounts, debit accounts, mail forwarding, inventory, just a slew of other things. But those are some of those. We have some webinars on, we have lots of tech notes on, we have some videos on. That's how you would get the information on those details. And some of you will need that right away if you have mailboxes, and some of you might want to be looking at that stuff for the future. And please go ahead and use our website as a resource. I'm going to pull up our website really quickly here because I want to show you how easy pcsynergy.com. I want to show you how easy it is to use our help center in the website. And I told you our internet is really slow here. I think it was my fault that we lost sound there for a while. Okay, so we're going to go into the help center, which is right here. And you can type in questions here like rebooting your computers. Oops. Yeah. So you can get information. You can show all results. Here you can get like set shipping rates. If you get an error while you're shipping, you can look it up. Let's go back and do. Here's one that I know comes up pretty often. Error. There we go. That's a USPS error, and you can find out the details on that, and it'll tell you what to do to get through the error. So it's not 100%, but we use it in the support room for our team. They refer to it on a very frequent basis. So they also wrote it. They wrote these features when they got information from stores. So when you call in and you have an issue, your technician may, after they hang up with you, go and write a card to enter in this knowledge base so that if it comes up with somebody else, that they'll know what to do. So those are kind of the cool things. This is a really great area. While we're here, let's see if I can, sorry. Right here are videos, and here are recorded webinars, and then here are the tech notes. Right here is the hardware requirements. So if you're adding hardware, make sure that it's on our list so you don't waste any money. Okay, let's go back in PostalMate real quick. I do want to point out one thing. We have this hold and recall feature, which is really popular. You might use it for different things. Here's a common one. Customer comes in the morning on their way to work. They just throw something at you. They're a regular customer. They throw something at you. Will you send that to my daughter and I'll be by right after work? I'm running late. I'll be right after work to pay for it. Sure, no problem. Of course you'll do it. She's a good customer. You're going to get it out today. So let's say you go do that. Well, instead of running a shipment, I'm just going to do a book of stamps. But let's say that was the situation. So she's going to come back later today to pay for it. I'm going to put it on hold here, and I'm going to put Mary and put it on hold, and now it's gone. Now I can help my other customers. She comes back in the afternoon, and you go over here to the recall area, and there it is. And you're going to bring it up, and there it is. And it would bring up her whole shipment that you had done earlier, and she can pay for it. So it basically just holds it or sets it aside for however long you want. Now, I don't recommend you have things set aside for ages and ages and ages, months and months and months. But days and weeks are fine. Hours certainly fine. Days and weeks are fine. But you should regularly clean it out. I don't want you to have 2 years of garbage in there, but that's how you can take care of business like that, because you will, as you grow, have customers that do that, and that's okay. That's what makes you a neighborhood postal center. Okay, Another feature at the end of the day, let me see. I did Rand. Yep, I'm going through my list here. Bear with me a second. Okay, good. So at the end of the day, your carriers are going to start coming to your store. And I say end of the day, there are places in the country, middle of Montana, for example, where FedEx or UPS might have to pick up at 11 a.m. Maybe that's the latest they can pick up at your store because they have to drive 5 hours to the airport. That happens. Most of us don't have that though. Most of us get a pickup somewhere between 3:34 and 6. The later, the better. So you can find out what time your pickup is actually at by going to FedEx.com, UPS.com, DHL.com, looking up your store location as an authorized center, and it will list the time there. And if you need to change that time with them, you need to talk with them. It'll list your hours and it'll list your time for your pickup. That's the time that you're around that your carrier should arrive. When they arrive, you need to tell PostalMate that they are there and picking up the packages. And you do that in other activities on the main screen of PostalMate. So you'll come in here and you do a carrier pickup and you'll pick the carrier. In this case, let's say FedEx Express. So what that's going to do is a whole bunch of things. It ends the reporting day. It uploads some information to alternate carrier or insurance carriers if you use them. It does a lot of things. But the most important immediate thing it does for you is it rolls the date forward. Remember on the rate comparison screen, it had the time in transit there so you could tell your customer, oh, it'll get there Thursday by the end of the day or Friday by the end of the day. Well, let's face it, if FedEx Express comes at 4 p.m. and you're open till 6, what about all those packages you get for between 4:15 and 6, right? Those won't be picked up today. So by doing a carrier pickup, you're telling PostalMate, roll the dates forward for just this carrier because we won't be picked up again until tomorrow evening. And that way you will give proper quotes to your customer and it will show properly on their receipt. Magical. So make sure you do a carrier pickup for every single carrier, especially post office. When you do a post office pickup and you're an Indicia customer, you will get what's called a scan report. And it's a short report with a big barcode in the middle of it. Your driver should be scanning that barcode and it uploads all the packages that you created through Indicia that day with barcodes on it to the USPS system and tells the USPS system to display them as picked up by carrier. That's important for the following reason. Let's say you send a priority mail for Mary Smith and she goes and tracks it at 3 in the afternoon and it still says awaiting pickup, label created, awaiting pickup. She goes, geez. And she calls you up and you say, yeah, post office should be here sometime in the next 15, 20 minutes and then you'll see a change. Oh, okay. Postman comes or woman comes, scans that barcode on there, and then Mary Smith goes and tracks it again at 4:30, and it's going to say package picked up with carrier. And so now the post office legally has possession of that package and it's out of your store. So it protects you legally and it makes the customer very happy because they can see it promptly went out as you said it would. So make sure to do that USPS scan. The scan form also, your certified mail, it legalizes your certified mail. So it's very, very important for certified mail you created through parcel or document. We do have a webinar I want you to watch on that if you're going to do certified mail in your store. And if you're asking about registered mail, that is a service that you are not allowed to offer in your store, but you can do certified mail, which is what they usually want. Okay, once we have done the end of day for the carriers, the carrier pickup, maybe it's getting time and we're running the vacuum cleaner and we look at our watch and oh my gosh, it's 6 o'clock or whatever time it is that you close. We go lock the door, we come over to PostMate, and now we're going to close. So we go over to our CashMate area and we go up to File, Close Register Day. We count out our drawer. When we count out our drawer, we have a couple of ways to do this. We can just count it out and enter the amount, so $100, okay, like that. Or if we usually did some cash sales. So the best way to do it is click that little Sigma button there and just start entering the amount of pennies. I have 25 pennies, I have 5 nickels, I have 15 dimes, I have 4 quarters because there's never enough quarters. I have 7 $1 bills because there's never enough ones. And I have 6 $5 bills, and I have 10 $10 bills. Oops, nope, not 10. 6 $10 bills. There we go. And you can see that I'm perfectly matched there. Okay. And then I go to Visa. Again, by clicking on the Sigma button, all my Visas and credit cards will be listed here in a row, and I can actually check them off and make sure I have a receipt for each one of them, which is kind of nice. And then click OK. And then I'm ready to close my registered day for CashMate. Now, once you close that registered day, make sure that you're really done for the day. It's going to ask if you want to print the X report. Always say yes. This is an absolute rule. Always say yes. After this screen, it can never be reprinted again in the format on the receipt printer, ever. Okay, so always say yes. And then that's going to print out of your receipt printer. It's equivalent, if you've ever used an old-fashioned cash register, it's equivalent to the Z report. So it's a long X report, and it gives you all the details for the sales of the day. And then now you're done in CashMate, so you can exit and you can close out of CashMate. And then you're going to go over to PostalMate, and you're going to close the X here, and you're going to say exit PostalMate yes. And then it's going to ask you if you want to back up. That's the other rule. Always say yes. You should back up your data every single day in PostalMate. You preferably should do it to 2 locations. The hard drive of the computer is a great place for the first location, and having a cloud destination such as iCloud, Google Cloud, Dropbox, those kinds of things, Carbonite, whatever your choice is a great second location. You can use a flash drive or a hard drive as a secondary, but I'm going to tell you, if you don't take that flash drive or hard drive with you every night, it's kind of a waste in many ways. There are 2 bad things that can happen, and we have them happen, unfortunately, in the industry. One is that some type of natural disaster will happen at your store. A fire, a flood, an earthquake, a hurricane. We've seen it all over the years in stores. In that case, if your hard drive and backup is there, it's done no good for you. You've lost your data. And then you have to start over from scratch. It has no boxes, no people, no rates, nothing in your PostalMate. That's not good. The second bad thing that can happen is that you can have some bad guy come into your store and steal your computer or damage it. If you've taken your hard drive with you, or your flash drive, your external hard drive, or your flash drive with you, then you've got your data. It's terrible he took your computer, but the next day, if you had to, you could run home, get your computer from home, bring it to your store, and we could help get you set up. And you could probably be running within a few hours, although it will be on a shoestring, a little bit hectic, but you probably could be running in it within a few hours. I like the idea of a cloud because then you don't have to remember to bring anything back and forth. So up to you, but 2 locations that can be set up in PostalMate Utilities. So I'm not going to close completely out of this, but I will show you. Over here is PostalMate Utilities. I'll move it just a little bit. It has a screwdriver through it with that little shield there. That's PostalMate Utilities. You cannot open it while PostalMate is open. You can only open it when PostalMate is closed. But in there is where you can set your backup to be to the hard drive of your computer and to a second location. If you want some help with that, just go to the Help Center on our website and type in backup, and it will give you some options there. So that concludes our main lessons for the day. I've run over just a little bit, but I am going to take any questions if you have any. So get over to the area where you told me you couldn't hear me, or you could hear me, and type in any questions that you have. Right now I have no questions, but that might be because you're a chicken or didn't know what I was going to say, or you are sound asleep, or you walked away to help customers, or what have you. So please go ahead and type any questions in. If there are no dumb questions, and I won't make fun of you, I promise. Nobody could say wrong things here. Well, yeah, you could. You could say something bad about my Arizona Cardinals or something, but other than that, you can't say any wrong things. So please, if you have questions, don't be shy. The only dumb question is the one not asked. You're in this to make money, and you should have a gazillion questions coming your way. If you're running a blank at the moment and you think of questions later on the day, email them to support@pcsynergy.com. That's the best, easiest way to get answers. And if it's something they need to call you, they will. If they can email you an answer, they will. So either nobody's typing or you're too busy henpecking the computer like I do with 2 fingers. So I'll give it just a moment, but I'm not getting any questions. All right. right. Nothing's coming up. As soon as I end, haha. Thank you, Rox. Okay, I got one question that came up. Oh, a couple questions. Are there tech notes on declared value? That's a good question. Let's go take a quick look. Do, 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 do. There you go. When you forget to hold a transaction before transferring over enough, how do you split them? I can tell that you've been using PostalMate for a little while. I will show you. Yep, I will show you. Carlos has a similar question, related question. So we're going to go and take a look at that. So in CashMate, let me reopen CashMate. Okay, so this happens frequently. I'm going to run, bear with me just for a minute, folks. I'm going to run a really fast shipment. Actually, I'm sorry. And so, because I know this is what happens when you do it, you have a shipment that you did, probably for yourself, but you had a shipment you did, and okay, so we're going to go over here to UPS, run that shipment, and finish. Now, for whatever reason in the world, you ran this package and you didn't take it to CashMate. The most common reason that happens, by the way, is when it's your own package. Maybe you're returning some or sending something to somebody, and you just forget to take it over to CashMate. Customer comes in, and so you say, oh, hi, customer, and you're helping them, and I'm going to go, we'll pick somebody completely different, and do their package. And again, I'll go pick on UPS again because it works on the test servers. So now we've got this person's package, we finish it, and we do as we're supposed to do after we get the label and get that up. We take it over to the cash register. Come on, computer. Click it over here. Oh, see, my cash register wasn't open. Yeah. Take it over here, and boom, they're both on here. Oh, darn it. This one's mine and this one's his. What do we do? Okay, there is a magic way to do this. We're going to put this whole thing on hold, but I'm going to put the word split. In case I have several on hold, I know which one I'm going to split. So click OK. Now I'm going to go to recall, and there it is, but I could have a whole list of things here, but there it is. And I want you to notice this magic little button right down here. It says split. Now, once I click that, you need to read very carefully. Any item that you check below will be removed from this transaction and placed into a new one. So I'm going to remove the first one, which was for me personally, and say OK. And then I'm going to click OK again. Now it's got the second one, which is actually my real customer's one. I'm going to finish that one. We'll go ahead and finish it. Visa. Finish. Okay. Yeah. That one's done. Now, what happened to my other one? Well, it's still in there all by its lonesome now. We'll bring it up. And maybe it was my own. So now I need to pull money out of my pocket, or you need to handle it however you handle it, and you can finish this transaction. Okay. So hopefully that helped you. It's a bit to learn how to do it, but once you do, oh, it's so nice to do. Very welcome. All right. So Carlos, did that help answer your questions about hold and recall as well? Or did you have, you said receive hold. So I don't know if you meant the hold and recall, or if you meant, let's go over here. Oh, receive hold. That's what you asked. Okay. So when you receive a package for, let's say you have mailbox customers, you are accepting the package from the driver. And Rhonda was kind enough to give me, let's see if I can, I don't think I can grab it here. I'm going to try to 783606117064. Okay, so you're going to scan it in, the package from the driver, and it properly said it's a FedEx. and you're going to tell PostalMate, okay, this is for mailbox number 123. And it's going to fill this in, and then it's going to print out some labels for you to smack on this box, and then you can put the box. We typically store them either under or on top of the mailboxes that we have, and it will print that out, and you can do an auto print. So you can type in the sender if you want. You can even type in the location. If you have several places you store these things, maybe this one's kind of big and you have to store it in your bathroom. You can put in here, bathroom. Anyway, so let's say it's done. And now you've got that package in. Your customer probably is tracking this package, but it's going to print something out to shove in their mailbox. He comes in later in the day and says, oh, I guess I have a package. So you go and you can look at it over here. There it is. Oops, yeah. Awaiting customer pickup. See that? Okay. So it's there. So we go back and find it and we bring it up and we're going to release it to that customer. So we bring this up and you can enter the tracking number, but we don't always have the tracking number at that point, but we do have our mailbox customer's mailbox name number. So he was in box number 123, if you remember. It would bring up all the packages that we have for him. And look at that. We have a whole bunch for him because I had other packages already waiting for him. So now I can release each one of these. This one is the one that's highlighted. This is the one that we just did. So I'm going to release that one to the customer, but he doesn't want to pick the others up because he's on his motorcycle and he can't take the big things. So we're going to just enter that one, just release that one. He's going to sign it, sign for it, and finish. Done. So hopefully that helps you with that one right there. Any other questions before we leave? Don't think so. If someone comes in again, you can always email support@pcsynergy.com. I'll monitor the support emails for the next, let's say, 15 minutes or so if you have one. I want to welcome you to the PostalMate family. We're happy to have you. We love training you. We love working with you. We love learning from you. I get so many of my fabulous ideas from you. They're not, I don't, I'd love to take credit for them. I'm just brilliant and I come up with all these things. Not true. I learn from store owners all the time and they give me great ideas that I pass on to you. And that's the value of the webinars and all the training that we offer is we're taking from all the brilliant store owners, the $1 million store owners, we're taking that information and we're giving it to all of you that are just starting out. And hopefully it will really help you to become $1 million store owner too. So thank you for all of your attention. Hope that you have a great day, a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.